Welcome to The Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, The Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the power of nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with listeners like you. A dream can be meaningful even if you don't know what it means. Today's music is called Liminalizer. Are dreams portals through which spirits can guide our communities? This week's guest is Deena Metzger, a prolific writer, a healer, a teacher, and an earth activist. I am your host, Katherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to The Dream Journal. I'm going to just start with a snippet of a dream I had this morning that I am mulling over. It was a lot going on. But the thing that I'm particularly thinking about is this idea. Well, what came up in the dream is that I was like a 10-year-old boy, 12-year-old boy, and I had come from a culture or a community where we did not have a lot of water, and so the people in our community were all scarred because we couldn't clean up our wounds as we went. And I've just been kind of mulling about what this idea could possibly represent, and one of the things that comes to mind, even as I'm saying it to you now, is something to do with cleaning up trauma from the past. So I'm wondering about that, like the way we all carry the scars from our past, from our childhood. Author Deena Metzger is an earth activist with over a dozen published books. She has taught and counseled for over 50 years, and her play, Dreams Against the State, was produced in a variety of venues. Deena lives at the edge of a wild park with a mountain lion and others as companions. Her newest offering is a novella called The Story That Must Not Be Told, which she describes as a fiction that is not a fiction. And you can find our guest at deenametzger.net, D-E-E-N-A, Metzger, M-E-T-Z-G-E-R, deenametzger.net. All right, Deena, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much, Deena. So glad to have you on the show. Well, sometimes it's a journey, huh?
Indeed.
Love that. But we are here now, and I would love to hear about some of your history, Deena. You have been involved in Dreamwork and the inner journey since 1964. I want to talk a little bit about Anaïs Nin and how you got started with interest in dreams.
Well, it's been a real gift to think about being on the program because I'm so involved with dreams. They're so much part of my life. I don't think about how it began or what the steps were that took me into it. So trying to fathom that, I remembered I was very fortunate as a young woman to have Anaïs Nin, the writer, as a very, very dear friend. And of course, those of you who know Anaïs Nin's work, you know that the dream was central to her. So in a way, I had this mentor who was teaching me. I want to say about what the real world is. The real world is that world where we live in relationship to the dream as well as to everything else. And what I remember most about my connection with Anaïs and the dream is that I was writing the book and I was stuck. And I thought, well, I'll never write again. And she said, oh, it's simple. You start with a dream and you end with a dream, and then you're just still in the middle.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Okay? So So I did that. And one of my first books that's in the drawer started with a dream where I was flying in my hair. I was flying, I mean, like my hair was behind me, and my hair was the wings.
Wow.
And that was so magical. Um, and then it went on.
Oh.
Um,
And so you use that dream as kind of the basis of one of your first books?
that was one of my first books. It was finished. It was not published. Um, to really be a good writer, you have to try a few books first,
Mm.
and you work your way into something that needs to come into the world. So, um, but from that moment, it was clear to me that there is an inner life that is essential to the creative.
Mm.
And um, in 1980 or thereabouts, I wrote a play called Dreams Against the State. And in that play, it was a time I didn't think in 1980 that we would really come to that time so quickly. But in that time, dreaming was illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
so a group of dreamers had to go underground. And that's essentially the dream. And at the um, at the core of the dream was also the great mysteries, the Eleusinian mysteries, which had been practiced in Greece until the Christians came in and said, you can't do this anymore. You can't have this inner life. Um, so when I finished writing um, the play and when we were about to perform it, I said to the director, Stephen Kent, she wants her mysteries recreated.
Mm.
And he said, what do you mean? I said, I have no idea. But we But we did take people to Greece 3 times, and we re-entered the Eleusinian mysteries, which had taken place over 9 days in Greece in the past.
Mm.
And it was quite extraordinary. It was, I mention it here because it was like really living the dream.
Mm. Right. Okay. To have it performed actually multiple times over that time, and then in Greece, I think I read that
And,
you had this Dreams Against the State was performed, and it spoke to people, right?
well, it was performed because it was about people being underground when dreaming was illegal. We performed it to begin with in people's homes, in churches, in um, in basements, in lofts,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
as if we were all underground, the actors and the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it with they sat in the like in the living room with us so that it was as if it was completely alive. And when we went to Georgia and performed it in Atlanta and in a theater, what we did was we opened a window from the theater onto the street
Mm.
so that it really was we were doing this in the world. People would come by and they'd look into the window while the play was going on to make the dream real.
Right. Okay.
And that's what has felt so important to me uh, for my entire, let's say, conscious life.
To make the
That
dream real.
to make the dream, to live by dreams.
Mm.
It's not just something that you go and you analyze and you think, oh, I have this dream and it means this or that. No, you live by the dream,
Huh.
and the dream teaches you how to live.
Wow. Dream teaches you how to live. I would love to hear
Yeah.
about that. But before we get to that, I'm still wanted to. I have a few more questions about this play, Dreams Against the State, and this is like a revolutionary group that was dreaming even when dreams were outlawed, and I think it has a real significance to the situation in the world today, don't you?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so people who are, quote, dreamers,
Yeah.
um, and we're dreaming. I don't know what you're finding, Catherine, but the people that I know, they're dreaming the police,
Yeah.
and they're dreaming ICE, and they're dreaming the Gestapo, and they're dreaming Earth screaming, and and they're dreaming the genocide against the Earth. So, and these are exactly what um, the president and the administration do not want us to talk about.
Right. So here we
Right?
are dreaming against the state, even in this modern era, 40 years later.
Even in this moment, right? Yeah.
Right.
And also, we're aware of the richness of that. When the dreams come and speak to you about what is really happening, then we have to ask what's the nature of the world, the real world, when that happens. What are these dreams? Where do they come from?
And what is your sense of that? Do you want to get into that now? Like, what your sense of where did the dreams come from?
Well, I don't think they come from our psyche all the time. Sometimes they do, but I have always felt that when we started thinking about dreams psychologically, instead of the way that Indigenous people have always thought about dreams as sent by the spirits or by the dream spirits for the sake of the community, when we went to the psyche, we went to ego, away from our involvement in and being part of the world.
Right. Well, the
So,
ego kind of is the modern American way, right? The
there you go.
individualistic society that we have developed.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit more about these spirits and like how they can show up in dreams to speak to us.
Well, I think they send the dreams. Well, let's say when you have a dream that you couldn't possibly have created yourself, it would be a great act of ego to say, well, I thought about this. When you have a dream that really guides you, that you know when that comes, that you have to listen, it comes from somewhere, right?
Right. Right.
And I'm sure everyone who's really interested in dreams probably had a dream. I'm sure you've had many, Catherine, that just stopped you. And you said, I can spend a lifetime listening to this dream, trying to understand what it means, but also where does it take us? So in Dora, when we look at dreams, we think about the dreams as we listen to the dreams as if they have come or because they have come to the community. And so they're for everyone who's listening. And in the old days, Indigenous people listened to dreams to learn ethics, to learn the nature of the world, to learn how they should live, to learn about danger. It's a we rather than an I situation.
But how do we make sense of these dreams? Because so often dreams are just kind of curious mishmashes. So how do we find out what it is that the dream is asking of us or offering to us? What is
I
your...
don't know that it always is. I think if it's mishmash, it's mishmash.
Okay. Okay.
And it's creative, it's beautiful, it's fun, it's maybe awesome even. I'm not going to go into it. I had a dream last night, which it was fun, but it wasn't the dream that I'm going to pay attention to for the rest of my life.
Okay, so we can distinguish the kinds of dreams that are these meaningful dreams from the mishmash dreams, just by the way
Absolutely.
we feel about them. Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But when we begin to have a dreaming community, and I suspect, Catherine, that because of the people who are listening to you, you have a dreaming community, that often it happens that the dreams that people come to tell are significant.
Yes.
And what we found in Dare, because we've been gathering and telling these dreams, and Dare, by the way, is online, so your listeners can tune into it. And on the first Sunday after the new moon, the dream section is from 7 to 9 Pacific time
In the evening.
in the evening. So very often what happens is that maybe there are 5 to 7 dreams that are being told that came during the month. And a person will tell a dream, and then someone else will tell a dream, and seems like a variation on the first dream. And another person is telling a dream. It's as if the dreams form a single dream. Doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough to be startling. And, to be honest with you, I don't pretend I understand this. This is a great mystery.
But maybe we don't need to understand everything. Like maybe that's
Right.
right. That's this kind of a human, idea that I have to understand things, and maybe dreams are something we don't understand. That's really kind of freeing, Deena, to think maybe I don't have to understand the dream.
I don't understand it, but I can praise it, and I can be grateful for it.
So when you get one of these Dare meetings where the dreams all line up and it seems like there's something common thread through all these dreams, and this is then a kind of a teaching for the community. This is something that we
Yes.
can.
It's a teaching or be aware. So there have been a few dreams lately that have had that sense of dread that many of us are feeling around ice.
Yeah.
And it called us into awareness. This is really what's happening. This is happening to our neighbors. This is happening to our community. We can't say this is over there.
Yeah, that's so
And
true.
it called us into that connection. Then there was a month when the dreams were, yes, it's dark, but remember joy. And that felt very important, that if you forget joy, then you forget why we're struggling or caring or doing all of this. So that, remember the earth, remember her beauty, remember spring is coming, honor it.
That's beautiful. Don't forget joy.
Don't forget joy. Right. Yeah.
That is a powerful message for sure. Now, this Dare process that you do, and is this something that came around this dream of Koji that you mentioned to me?
No, what happened was I was going to Zimbabwe.
Oh, yeah, tell me.
To meet a healer
Yeah.
by the name of Bandaza Kandemwa. And on the way, when we were in South Africa and waiting for the plane to Zimbabwe, overnighting, I had a dream of the Kogi people coming to me. It's a long dream. I won't tell it now, except that the phone rang and there was a man on the phone, and he said he had a book to give me. And the book was called The Elder Brothers. And I said, well, I don't know this book, but I know there's a film about the Kogi. I know the Kogi. I have a friend who's worked with them. He said, well, I need to give you this book, and what will you pay for it? And I said, what are you talking about? He said, look, this book will tell you that the pattern is real. It will teach you the pattern. We want you to teach it. And what will you pay for it? And I said, what? What do you want? A lousy $30? If it's what you say, I'll give you my life.
Wow. Huh?
And then I woke up.
Wow.
I did not know that that was a dream.
Huh.
When I got to Zimbabwe, I discovered there was in fact a book. I had not known this. So that's the kind of dream that when you have it and you discover there's a book, you know you couldn't have thought about it yourself. So some mystery is occurring. You have to pay attention. Well, that was 1997, and I've given my life to the pattern. The pattern of really serving Earth and the spirits and life.
That's so important. Wow, Deena.
Yeah. And serving the environment and recognizing what the Kogi teaches about what's happening in the earth. So I said I would give it my life in the dream, and I gave it my life.
Wow. So you really followed through on that dream. So that was a clear message to you about your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
And that dreams can do that. But I think you have to begin to present yourself, so to speak, to the dream spirits and to say, I'm willing to take this seriously.
That's beautiful. I'm willing to take this seriously.
And then there's a chance they'll send them, because then you're in a relationship, right? They're sending the dreams, you're listening, trying to understand, trying to meet it. And so we're in alliance.
Deena, this is beautiful. We need to take a short break, and I'm fascinated by this story of your life and this new way of looking at dreams as invitations and messages, and the commitments we make in dreams are something that we can commit to in our lives as well. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is Deena Metzger. You can find about her work, including her many books and her Dare community at DeenaMetzger.com, DEENA, DeenaMetzger.com. The Dream Journal is broadcast live from the KSQD studios in Santa Cruz and co-broadcast live in San Jose by KCXU. We are podcast everywhere. Also, I am excited to say that I am releasing full-length videos of these conversations. You can find them on Spotify and also on my YouTube page at Experiential Dreamwork. And before we be right back, I'd like to spend a few minutes telling listeners that this is a KSQD Spring Pledge Break, that we only ask for your attention twice a year when we have to get the bills paid. That this KSQD is an entirely listener-supported radio station. We have no major funding to back us up. We rely on pledges from listeners like you. It's an entirely volunteer-run organization, including the board of directors all the way down to the programmers like me, lowly programmers. We donate our time. And we ask you for your support to keep the station running, to keep our equipment in order, and to pay for our licensing fees. And Rick, do you want to tell folks about how they can make their donation?
You can go online to ksqd.org. It's simple, it's easy. It'll take you about 2 or 3 minutes to fill out the form and donate to the station.
The Dream Journal will be right back.
You are listening to The Dream Journal, and I am Katherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork. I'd like to send out a special welcome to our far-flung listeners. We have many, many people. Deena, you're a popular person. People, you speak to people's hearts. I think is what's happening. There's all over California. And then we have Oregon, people in Oregon. We have British Columbia, a couple people in Washington, North Dakota, Texas, Iowa, Texas, Michigan, Georgia, Canada, Ontario, Gainesville, Florida, Ashburn, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Quebec, and we also have listeners from Moscow, Russia, and one from Hungary. So thank you so much for listening to the show. This is something that appeals to people all over the world. And if you want to join us, isn't it amazing, Deena?
Yes. Let me tell you one thing, Catherine.
Yes.
My website is DeenaMetzger.net.
Oh, no. Not com. Thank you so much for that correction. My apologies. DeenaMetzger.net. Indeed. We'll want to get that right so people can go and find out about your Dare practices and all your amazing books. So I'd like to encourage people to join us by nudging the algorithm and subscribing on your favorite podcast app. And if you're inspired, leave us a rating and review, sharing episode on social media. You can follow the Dream Journal on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube by looking for @Experiential Dreamwork. So let's get back to our guest, Deena Metzger, who has written a famous book, Dreams Against the State, and her latest book is called The Story That Must Not Be Told. You can look up her dozens of books, which include poetry, prose, and fiction as well. But we have on the line Rebecca from New Mexico. I'd like to say hello to Rebecca.
Hello, Rebecca. She's a wonderful dreamer, Catherine.
Oh, fabulous. Great to have you.
Hi, Catherine. Hi, Deena.
Hi, Rebecca. Welcome to the Dream Journal.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a dream to share, if that's all right.
Perfect.
If this is the right, appropriate place for it.
Absolutely. You ready, Deena? Do you want to say anything first, or shall we go to Rebecca's dream?
No, I'm curious
Okay.
to see what Rebecca's going to tell us.
Okay. It's the end of the world. People need to escape. There has been a catastrophe, war, resources gone, and safe places to live have become scarce, compromised. People are running in the streets. I have a place to go. And I can take people with me, but just a few. Chelsea is one. Then I invite another one, 2, 3. I tell them we have room, but not so much that we tell everyone else. We get back to the house, which is meant to be the farm, but at times is still in the city. But the point is, we have room. Every time it gets a little crowded, or I see a concrete wall or city road, I try to remember the farm. It's the farm. The vast amount of land, the large house, the barn, and all the space to hold people. And suddenly, there is room to breathe. Once a few people are settled, we can invite more. The ones who have been there longer will be an example, so energies don't get out of control. I think of all the beds we will need, if we have enough, but of course we do. Thank God I tried out all those mattresses and got stuck with them. I'm thinking, reimagining, planning. What rooms do we have? How many people can I fit? There's room up there, there's one down the hall, and don't forget the barn. And don't we also have that additional building? And so on and so on. And they come, and they settle, feel safe, get comfortable. And soon it seems the houses are filled with so many young people. We go outside, and they have all brought what they can carry with them, what was available to them, food, provisions. And here, we will have to learn to grow things together. We have space for it. Maybe we can make a hoop house. They go outside in groups, in clusters, mostly these young people, and there is a distinct levity in it all, joyful, celebratory, like going out for a bike ride. And it's so free and liberating, and I say, wear your pajamas if you like. We go out onto the street, and I stop, And I try to enjoy them without the use of my phone. They're laughing, they're together, they're happy. All these kids, all these people I saved, they're happy to be here and thriving. Because I opened my home to them, they are alive. And in my desire to respectfully admire them outside and the scene before me without capturing it all on camera, all of that is quickly thwarted by their insistence at making a video of me, the person that they love, for taking them in, for giving them a safe place to be. They're marveling at me, smiling in the way that I might at an old village woman. And then I catch a glimpse of myself in the most preposterous nightgown, flannel, shapeless, my hair pulled back in a bonnet. I mean, I am the one who said, go out in your pajamas. And I look I look ridiculous. I'm old. And I'm smiling. And I couldn't be happier to see all these people alive.
Wow. What a stunning dream. And between us, Rebecca, what a Rebecca dream. Right? Yeah, the quintessential one of your dreams. So my response to this, if I may, Catherine,
Well, please.
is what an important message for us at this time, that in these dark and difficult times, the task is to help each other and to create community. And that the idea that there is not enough, that there is enough to save life. That's what seems to me. And it's a kind of variation, if I dare say so, on the loaves and fishes. But that essential image of Western culture, which is of generosity and saving, and there is enough for the people. And it is the people that's essential. So I feel like that's an incredible teaching. I mean, my instinct would be to say, this is the dream that was sent to us, or a dream that's sent to us today, for all those people that you mentioned, Catherine, from Moscow to Florida, right? And something in our hearts and souls needed to hear this, that we could do it, that we could take care of each other, and that it is the farm, that is, it's the land that will sustain us, and that we have to have a relationship with, and no pretense, and no arrogance, and no gold arches of triumph, mattresses, and and their old flannels.
Pajamas. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful.
Right. Yeah. Where does it take you, Catherine?
Oh gosh, it's the sense of the spaciousness, like the end of the world. Like I have many, many end of the world dreams. And sometimes they're just disaster, and sometimes there's so much hope in this dream. There's so much spaciousness, like maybe letting go of the old ways, or like not the old ways, the ways maybe going back to the old ways, letting go of the new ways, or letting go of
Right.
something, some huge structure just
Right.
collapsing. And it's
Right.
beautiful as I take this dream as myself, to think of myself as this wise old woman, like that people turn to and who can help. It's very touching.
Yeah. Yeah. And, earlier in the conversation, when I spoke about that, the month when the dreams came in, from darkness to joy, and you really responded to that about the need for joy in these really dark times,
Yes.
this end of the world time, which we, for all we know, we hit the end of the world, or the possibility of that last Tuesday, on not long after Easter. There, the images begin to come together, and when they come together in that way, the sense of the reality and the importance of paying attention, and what is the farm that we can create for each other. I happen to know, in terms of Rebecca, that she has actually done that. That has been a major, extraordinary life work that she's engaged in.
So important.
And
Yeah, really to make these things real, like you were talking about inhabiting the dream and bringing the dream into the reality, not just
Right.
leaving them as something we leave on the pillow, but just to bring into the world.
yeah, and that we go to the dream when we develop that practice or that relationship to say, okay, how shall we live? Because we don't know how to live now in these times. So, and we need help. We need vision,
Yes.
and here is a vision.
And it is beautiful
I mean,
vision.
we could call our community together and tell this dream. I mean, everyone I'm talking to can say, you can call 5 people together or 12 people and tell the dream and say, where's this taking us? And it's a dream without a hero. There is the hero,
The dreamer.
this woman who discovers she's an old woman. But she's not the great hero in shining armor.
She's just feeding people and finding places for them to sleep.
Right. So it's also a dream about the feminine.
Ah, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I want
And
to
the
check in.
grandmother spirit.
I want to check in with Rebecca. How is it to share this dream here? And what's coming up for you? Are you still there, Rebecca? Oh, she may have signed off. Wow, she just gave us the dream and no. Okay.
Well, she's a gift giver, right?
Yeah, she is a gift, and she gave us a gift of her dream. So yeah, you were talking about the feminine and the gift of the mother.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is beautiful.
Is there another dreamer online? I'm just curious.
We don't have anyone on the phone. I have a
Okay.
short dream I could share if you want that seems to speak to the collective.
Why not?
Why not? Okay. So this was a few days ago, swimming daily with a group of people. There's a lot of debate among us about whether it's safest to swim in a large group by ourselves or maybe with one other person. And the concern is about what would be the most likely to attract the sharks. Something about choices of community, being in community, being alone, being in partnership.
So there's a way, isn't it, in which it fits with Rebecca's dream, which is about gathering people, and there's room for more, and there's room for more, and there's room for more.
Yes, yes. And speaking of room for more, Deena, I have another room for more. The Carol from Los Angeles has called in.
Fantastic.
All right.
The dreamer.
Hi, Carol.
Hi.
Thanks
How are you?
Good. Thanks for calling. What do you have for us?
So this dream was from about 5:30 this morning, and I had a sense that if it came this morning, it was meant for here today. So it's quite different than Rebecca's dream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and I'll just say, little moment ahead. What I'm describing in this murder of my brother did not happen. My brother was not really murdered in waking life.
Oh.
I just need to say that.
Okay.
All right. So I am researching the murder of my brother, and somehow I understand that it has linked the death of at least two others. In order to solve the mystery of what happened to him, I have to figure out the link between all three murders. People have been trying to solve this crime for years, unsuccessfully, but I believe that I have finally figured out an essential link between these three events that was never understood before. So I go back to the scene of the first crime to investigate. It was several years before, but when I arrive, the crime is taking place as if in real time. It is in an ice rink, and there had been a hockey game going on. Someone, I believe one of the Boston Marathon bombers, has come in and shot many people, all teenage boys from local teams. One of them has thrown himself in front of another and has taken the bullets into his own body that were meant for his friend. He tells me all about what happened, grateful that he was able to save his friend's life. He also says that he saved the shooter from killing anyone else. But as I pull back my view and look at the scene, it seems to me, however, that they are actually all dead, the shooter and those friends. And I see in my mind's eye the scene play out from shooter to friend, and how they each protected and stayed with each other, comforting each other so they didn't die alone, even comforting the shooter. Then the friend tells me about being with his friend while he dies and realizing that his friend died by bullets meant for his own body, and that because of this he survived and consequently was able to be with my brother when he was being killed across the country on a lonely road somewhere in the backwoods off a highway in California some 10 years later. We are instantly on that roadside, and he shows me the scene when my brother is gunned down. But he too is not alone while he dies. He and my brother show me the story together as if it is actually happening, tell it to me full of warmth for each other, explaining how this only happened because his friend in Boston saved him, and so he was able to be there to be with my brother. And that now these teenage boys are part of some kind of brotherhood and will always be linked and will in turn always be able to be with others when needed. I'm grateful that I've solved this old mystery of the crime. It's only as I'm awakening that I again fully realize that they were all dead, but that they were not alone during their death. And through this, the dead and the living help each other when it matters most.
Oh,
Wow. Thank you,
Yeah.
Carol.
Yeah.
thank you, Carol.
Yeah.
So, Catherine,
Hmm.
we are in, I think, instructions about community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's really profound.
Mm-hmm.
And we have three different views of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? End of the world, shark, this terrorist situation. And in each one, there is community that's either looked to or lived or understood. And in Carol's dream, because the community is also with the living and the dead, right?
Yes.
Um,
So here we are in community and on the Dream Journal as well. And Deena, we're at the end of our hour. Carol, thank you so much for that amazing dream. And we have really, I feel like I've really experienced a bit of just a little taste of the Dari community, and that all three of these dreams really lined up in terms of community and helping each other and being together, like even in this end of the world, even in the death, even with the sharks, that we can be together.
yes.
Deena, do you have any final things you'd like to tell our listeners?
Well, the dream world is the real world. And Of course, they're welcome to come to Dore. If you go to my website, you can sign up for my mailing list, and you'll get a Dore notice every month, and everyone is welcome.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you for
There's
hosting
no charge. Everyone is welcome.
No charge. Everyone is welcome. DeenaMetzger.net.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on the show. This has been a really magical experience for me, and hopefully for listeners too.
Thank you, Katherine, for me as well.
Oh, take care. So thank you all for listening. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz. We are live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific at ksqd.org. The podcast is released on the Monday after the show. It spreads interest in dreaming when you subscribe, rate, and review. I am Katherine Bell. You can find out about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. Email me at katherine@ksqd.org. Follow Experiential Dreamwork and hashtag The Dream Journal on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'd like to thank Rick Kleffel, engineer, music creator, audio editing by Suki Wessling, phones by Eric Nelson, intro and outro pieces are both by Mood Science. And tomorrow morning when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.